Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back. Today we are talking about some of the exciting new releases for the second quarter of the year. I'm so ready for some of these, and others I might have gotten just because I think you guys would like them more than myself would like them. But I'm pretty excited for like everything on this list. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Morgan, and this list is going to be pretty much all sci-fi fantasy. There will be timestamps for each month though, because it's a long list. There's like a lot in each month. Weirdly, at first I had like nothing for June, and then I had to like dig deeper after I'd already made the list, and I'm like, there's nothing in June. And I'm like, oh crap, this book's coming out in June, and this one too. Why? Okay, I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna stop. We're gonna get into this list. Hope you like it. Starting out, the first one with April 4th is going to be Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This one is a historical fantasy type. It is set kind of like our world, but it's not exactly our world because, well, there's gods. And a few hundred years ago, humans defeated the gods, and they're all like buried around the place, but their magic kind of seeps up and will enchant items or buildings. It's very odd. Like, enchanted rooms in the city where our main character lives is not odd at all. Our main character's home, well, our secondary main character's home is kind of enchanted, and he makes the comment at one point, like when he was younger and restless and would wander in the middle of the night, the house would put out milk and cookies for him. It says, after centuries of sleep, the gods are warring again, but 18-year-old Iris Winnow just wants to hold her family together. Her mother is suffering from addiction, and her brother is missing from the front lines. Her best bet is to win the columnist promotion at the Oath Gazette. To combat her worries, Iris writes letters to her brother and slips them beneath her wardrobe door. See, enchanted. Where they vanish into the hands of roaming Kit, her cold and handsome rival at the paper. When he anonymously writes Iris back, the two of them forge a connection that will follow Iris all the way to the front lines of battle for her brother, the fate of mankind, and love. They say it's Shadow and Bone meets Lore. I've only read the first Shadow and Bone, and I haven't read Lore, so I cannot say for that. But I've read this one. It has some high points. It has some detractions, but I don't know. A lot of people are probably going to like it and not judge it quite so much as like I did. I didn't like the main character. I'm going to throw that out there. You guys read it. Let me know what you think though. I would like to see everybody else's opinions about this book before I really try to say so much. The next one is a sequel book. It's the sequel to Engines of Empire by R.S. Ford called Engines of Chaos. And it'll have the red on the cover. I'll put it up somewhere. I shouldn't read that description. But in this one, we follow the members of the Harksburg Guild family. And like your guild family, you know, there's guilds of things, but all the guilds are also actually like families. Like each family has a different guild. Think of it like the houses, I guess, in Game of Thrones. I don't know. But the Harksburgs, they're in charge of like logistics and trade for their kingdom, empire. And they're very closely tied to the throne because the matriarch is the sister to the emperor. So they have very close relations. That way they're one of the most powerful ones for the reason of what they control and trade and what's not. But as technology is slowly improving through, time and the empire, there's also mystical things that seem to be awakening as well. And the whole power that the empire runs off, these stones that are different colored stones, will imbue different properties through mechanics and other things. So artificing is a very big trade here. And the youngest member of the Harksburg family, that is what he's studying to be, and he's actually very, very skilled at it. But we follow him, his two older siblings, and their mother as they're all at different parts of the empire after the initial part, as they all have to go separate ways to learn different things, to have different experiences. The oldest brother is in the military, and he's sent, out with the military to an outpost to do his service. I did not like his character. And the daughter is sent to one of the big mining colony islands to be able to learn, their trade, because her mother wants her to take over in the trade of the empire and how the guild runs with their logisticals and stuff like that. and all of their experiences, though, and everything that befalls them, as things are never as they seem. Politics, politics, politics. And the sequel, though, the sequel is going to follow these events that happened in this book that led to things, and I've talked about this too much. I highly enjoyed that one, though, so I'm looking forward to this one. There were, of course, some problems. I did have some issues, but I'm still very much looking forward to the next one. Our next one is going to be more of a YA fantasy, and this is Silver in the Bone. I keep trying to say Sliver, but I'm pretty sure it's Silver, by Alexandra Bracken. This one is an Arthurian legend retelling type story. So, born without a trace of magic, Tamsin Lark is no match for the sorceresses and the hollowers who populate the magical underground of Boston. But when the only parent she's ever known disappears without so much as a goodbye, she has no choice but to join their cutthroat pursuit of enchanted relics to keep herself and her brother Caleb alive. 10 years later, rumors are swirling that her guardian found a powerful ring from Arthurian legend just before she vanished. When a run-in with her rival, Emrys ignites Tamsin's hope that the ring could free Cable from a curse that threatens both of them. But they aren't the only ones to covet the ring. As word spreads, greedy hollowers start circling, and many would kill to have it for themselves. While Emrys is the last person Tamsin would choose to partner with, she needs all the help she can get to edge out her competitors in the race for the ring. Together, they dive headfirst into a viper's nest of dark magic, exposing a deadly secret with the power to awaken ghosts of the past and shatter her present in hope of saving her brother, not shaving. I had a lot of missteps in words with that one. So, modern-ish times, but magic, and also Arthurian legend from the past there. There's a lot of potential, I feel like, with this one. We shall have to see. We shall have to see. Now, moving into the next week, we have Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. This one looks exciting. I don't know if it's a full book, though. I can't remember. Esther's family was torn apart when a manticore killed her mother and baby brother, leaving her with nothing but her father's painful silence and a single, overwhelming need to kill the monsters that took her family. Esther's path leads her to King's Royal Mews, where the giant rocks of legend are flown to hunt manticores by the brave and dedicated Rokors. Paired with a fledgling rock named Zara, Esther finds purpose and acclaim by devoting herself to a calling that demands absolute sacrifice and a creature that will never return her love. The terrifying partnership between woman and rock leads Esther not only on the Empire's most dangerous manticore hunt, but on a journey of perseverance and acceptance. So, I thought it sounded cool when it first made its, announcements. We'll have to see. The next one that I'm so excited about, it comes out in ebook format, maybe audiobook, but at least ebook on the 11th as well. And that is Secret Project number 2 by Brandon Sanderson. I'm totally reading this on April 1st. Doesn't matter if I still hadn't finished my March one. Hopefully I'll finish my March one, but it doesn't matter. Reading it on the 1st, downloading it as soon as I wake up. Yep. This one is the non-Cosmere of all of the Secret Project novels. And that's all I'm going to say because people complain about spoilers all the time. So, that's all. And now, moving into the April 18th date, and we have A Damsel by Evelyn Skye. This one is an interesting one. I don't really want to read the description because after reading the book, I will say that the description, it gives away maybe more than it should, because I spent a good portion of the book waiting for like this other shoe to drop of what I'd read in the description. Like, it's going to happen, and so you're just like waiting on it to happen. And then also, this is going to be a Netflix movie. It was actually planned to be a movie first, and like they'd already started that before the book adaptation was commissioned. So, and some things I don't think even still are going to line up quite right, because there was a scene in the preview of the movie that I was like, that is giving it away. No. Oh, but in this one, we are following Elodie. Still guessing that's her name. Don't know. That's just how I think it said. We're following Elodie, though, as she is from an impoverished dukedom, and she loves her people, though, and she believes she should do anything she can to sacrifice for them and to, give them the best life possible. So when a very prosperous kingdom steeped in magic and everything comes to her father and offers a marriage proposal, she's like, okay, I will do it. I will do it for my people because they will send food, they will send support for our very drought-ridden population. She goes there and like everything is wonderful. There is food everywhere. There is magic in the land that helps the food be grown and helps, it be more nourishing. So the castle is like gold. Everything is gold. Almost to the point where she's like, it's kind of disgusting. There's just so much opulence here. And they're giving her everything before the wedding and everything, all these new clothes, all these delicacies. They're treating her wonderfully. And she's set to marry the prince. And she's like, okay, this is amazing. This is going to be wonderful. At the same time, though, she was born to be a leader. She was raised by her father, the Duke, to take over after him. So she's asking the prince these questions, and he's getting weird about it. So you're like, But from that description, you already know what's going to happen. So, but she's there, and on the eve of her wedding, you're going to find out things. You're going to find out things that are not what they seem in this kingdom. All their prosperity comes at a cost. It comes at a very high cost with blood. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say. There's also a dragon. But this damsel in distress does not need no prince to come and save her. She's going to do it herself. I only didn't like that it took her so long, to accept her situation. Well, there's other things. I have a review video planned for that one. Go check that out. The next one up is going to be more of an honorary mention. It still comes out on the 18th though. This is Bone Shard War. This should be the last in the Bone Shard trilogy that started with, the Drowning Empire. That's what it's called. It started with the Bone Shard daughter though. In this one, the magic comes from bone shards, but it is only the imperial family, I think, that can harness this magic. So the population sends them a bit of bone, and the emperor can do something that makes contraptions of their bones by inscribing runes on them. It sounds odd and only slightly gross when people describe it like that. The overview for the first book is, though, a stunning tale of magic and revolution in which a former heir to an emperor fights to reclaim her birthright. Forbidden magic, epic world building, political unrest, vibrant characters, mysterious monsters, and non-stop adventure. Okay. Because the emperor's daughter is apparently, the emperor won't recognize her as his heir, and she's gonna, determined to learn this magic regardless of what he says. The next one, though, coming out on April 24th, is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I'm very excited for this one. I loved Book Lovers last summer. I did not like as much Beach Read. I haven't read People We Meet on Vacation yet, but I did not like Beach Read quite as much, but I loved Book Lovers. I really did. And I have hopes for this one. It says, a couple who broke up months ago pretend to still be together for their annual week-long vacation with their best friends. Harriet and Wynne have been the perfect couple since they met in college. They go together like salt and pepper, honey and tea, lobster and rolls, except now, for reasons they're still not discussing, they don't. They broke up 5 months ago and still haven't told their best friends, which is how they find themselves sharing a bedroom at the main cottage that has been their friend group's yearly getaway for the last decade. Their annual respite from the world, where for one vibrant, blissful week they leave behind their daily lives, have copious amounts of cheese, wine, and seafood, and soak up the salty coastal air with the people who understand them the most. Only this year, Harriet and Wynne are lying through their teeth while trying not to notice how desperately they still want each other. Because the cottage is for sale, and this is the last week they'll all have in this place, they can't stand to break their friends' hearts, and so they'll play their parts. Harriet will be the driven surgical resident who never starts a fight, and Wynne will be the laid-back charmer who never lets the cracks show. It's a flawless plan, if you look at it from a great distance and through a pair of sunscreen-smeared sunglasses. After years of being in love, how hard can it be to fake for 1 week, in front of those who know you best? So it seems a little bit different. Our main characters are not anything to do related with the book peoples, maybe. Those are for August, though. April. Those are April. Now we will go into May, with the first one on May 2nd also being kind of an honorary because this is a conclusion to another trilogy. It calls it series, but it's the final architecture series, but it is a trilogy. They started with Shards of Earth, and this is Lords of Uncreation by Adrian Tchaikovsky. So the first book says, the war is over, its heroes forgotten until one chance discovery. Idris has neither aged nor slept since they remade him in the war, and one of humanity's heroes now scrapes by on a freelance salvage vessel to avoid the attention of greater powers. After Earth was destroyed, mankind created a fighting elite to save their species, enhanced humans such as Idris. In the silence of space, they could communicate mind to mind with the enemy. Then their alien aggressors, the architects, simply disappeared, and Idris and his kind became obsolete. Now, 50 years later, Idris and his crew have discovered something strange abandoned in space. It's clearly the work of the architects, but are they returning? And if so, why? Hunted by gangsters, cults, and governments, Idris and his crew race across the galaxy hunting for answers. For they now possess something of incalculable value that many would kill to obtain. So I would read that one. I do. I just started his other series, and now I gotta read this one too. But that one's kind of an honorary mention as the last one. So a new one though is The Sword Defiant by Gareth Hanrahan. The sword cares not who it cuts. Many years ago, Sir Alfric and his 9 companions saved the world, seizing the Dark Lord's cursed weapons along with his dread city of Necrad. That was the easy part. Now, when Alfric, keeper of the cursed sword Spellbreaker, learns of a new and terrifying threat, he seeks the 9 heroes once again. But they are wandering adventurers no longer. Yesterday's eager heroes are today's weary leaders. And some have turned to the darkness, becoming monsters themselves. And there's one thing Alfric knows, it's slaying monsters, even if they used to be his friends. So that one sounds exciting. The next one is a middle grade. It is by Rick Riordan and Mark Oshiro, and this is The Sun and the Star. So this one is going to have characters that you first got introduced to in Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus and apparently the Trials of Apollo, because you're following Nico D'Angelo and Will Solis. So it's those 2 characters from those series that were like side, I guess, characters, and now they're getting their own series as they have to rescue a friend from Tartarus. I'm assuming that happened in one of the other books. And it seems like that they had thought somebody was dead, and when they rescued somebody else, and now though they are hearing whispers from this person, so they're going to go back and try to save their friend. I should not give away more than that though. Our next fantasy I have heard several good things about, so I have high hopes for this one. I would like it to be good. I would like to be able to get to read it too. And this is The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. It says, enter the brutal and elite world of a war college for dragon riders. 20-year-old Violet Sorengal was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. The dream. Now, the commanding general, also known as her toughest Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Navarre dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away, because dragons don't bond fragile humans, they incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter, like Xaden Rierson? Mm-hmm. The most powerful and ruthless wing leader of the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet, with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly. The kingdom's protective wards are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect that leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers, everyone at Bazagath War College has an agenda, because once you enter, there are only 2 ways out. Graduate or die. Dragons. Riding dragons. And a war college sort of thing. I would like to see that. I would like to see that done well, and I high hopes. Going into our next week, which is May 9th, we have another honorary one. This is The Iron Vow by Julie Kagawa, and this is honorary because this is the conclusion to her Iron Fae series. I think this is like the second part of that series too, possibly. The other one's called the Iron Fae, or this is the Iron Fae Evenfall series, and the other ones were just the Iron Fae It says the extraordinary finale to Julie Kagawa's New York Times edition, internationally best-selling 100-page series is here, and the fate of the Never Never and all the world hangs in the balance. And it says, join all these characters and the entire Iron Fae cast for a final epic journey into worlds where imagination knows no bounds. And that's all we will say. The next one is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. The boy has lived his whole life trapped within a book-choked chamber older than the empires and larger than cities. The girl has spent hers in a tiny settlement out on the dust where nightmares stalk and no one goes. The world has never even noticed them. That's about to change. Their stories spiral around each other across worlds and time. This is a tale of truth and lies and the hearts and the blurring of one into another. A journey on which knowledge erodes certainty and on which, though the pen may be mightier than the sword, blood will be spilled and cities burned. Now we have a fantasy romance, kind of. It's called A Crown of Ivy and Glass by Claire Legrand. She is the author of Furyborn, who so many people have loved. That's more of a YA though. This is her adult debut, but that one is also like very politically minded and stuff. So this one though it's probably still gonna have elements of that. Lady Gemma Ashburn seemingly has it all. She's young, gorgeous, and rich. Her family was anointed by the gods, blessed with incredible abilities, but underneath her glittering facade, Gemma is deeply sad. Years ago, her sister Mara was taken to the Middlemist to guard against the treacherous magic. Her mother abandoned the family. Her father and eldest sister, Farron, embroiled in a deadly blood feud with the mysterious Basque family, often forget Gemma exists. Worst of all, Gemma is the only Ashbourne to possess no magic. Instead, her body fights it like poison. Constantly ill and aching with loneliness, Gemma craves love and yearns to belong. Oh, like Anna. Then she meets the devastatingly handsome Talon Diaster. His family destroyed themselves, seduced by a demon, and Talon, the only survivor, is determined to redeem their honor. Intrigued and enchanted, Gemma proposes a bargain. She'll help Talon navigate high society if he helps her destroy the Basques. According to popular legend, a demon called the Man with the Three-Eyed Crown is behind the family's blood feud. Slay the demon in the feud. But attacks on the Middle Mist are increasing. The plot against the Basques quickly spirals out of control, and something immense and terrifying is awakening in Gemma, drawing her inexorably toward Talon and an all-consuming passion that could destroy her or show her the true strength of her power at last. Why was that last paragraph so hard? And it believes that it is a perfect book for fans of Bridgerton or A Court of Thorns and Roses. And May 19th, another honorary kind of one, is Fractal Noise. I say this honorary because I haven't read the first one. I'm not sure if I'm going to, but this one is by Christopher Polini, and it is the sequel, because I think it's just, or conclusion, because I think it's just a duology to Sleep in a Sea of Stars. It says, Kira Navarez dreamed of life on new worlds. Now she is awakened by a nightmare. During a routine survey mission on an uncolonized planet, Kira finds an alien relic. At first she's delighted, but elation turns to terror when the ancient dust around her begins to move. As war erupts among the stars, Kira is launched into a galaxy-spanning odyssey of discovery and transformation. First contact isn't at all what she imagined, and events push her to the very limits of what it means to be human. So maybe I should look into that one. Reading that series. Maybe I should look into it. Because I'm pretty sure that was the description for the first one. Sounds like the description to the first one. Our next one is another sci-fi that comes out on May 23rd, and this is The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keefe. Stranded on a dead planet with her mortal enemy, a spy must survive and uncover a conspiracy in the first book of an epic space opera trilogy. She's a revolutionary. Humanity is running out of options. Habitable planets are being destroyed as quickly as they're found, and Nira Sharp thinks she knows the reason why. The all-powerful McCarter family has been controlling the exploration of the universe for decades and exploiting any materials they find along the way under the guise of helping humanity's expansion. But Nira knows the truth, and she plans to bring the whole family down from the inside. He's the heir to the dynasty. Tarquin Cater never wanted to run a galaxy-spanning business empire. He just wanted to study rocks and read books. But Tarquin's father has tasked him with monitoring the settlement of a new planet, and he doesn't really have a choice in the matter. Disguised as Tarquin's new bodyguard, Nero plans to destroy the settlement ship before they make land. But neither of them expects to end up stranded on a dead planet. To survive and keep her secret, Nero will have to join forces with the man she's sworn to hate. And together, they will uncover a plot that's bigger than the both of them. And for the last releases of May, we have 2 fantasies. One of them is called Perilous Times by Thomas D. Lee, and this one also has roots with Arthurian legend vibes. An immortal knight of the Round Table faces his greatest challenge yet, saving the politically polarized, rapidly warming world from itself. Legends don't always live up to reality. Being reborn as an immortal defender of the realm gets awfully tiring over the years, or at least that's what Sir Kay's thinking as he claws his way up from beneath the earth yet again. Kay once rode alongside his brother, King Arthur, as the Knight of the Round Table. Since then, he has fought at Hastings and at Waterloo and in both world wars. And now he finds himself in a strange new world where oceans have risen, the army's been privatized, and half of Britain's been sold to foreign powers. The dragon that's running amok that he can handle. The rest, he's not so sure. Miriam spent her life fighting what's wrong with her country, but she's just one ordinary person up against a hopelessly broken system. So when she meets Kay, she dares to hope that the world has finally found the savior it needs. Yet as the two travel through this bizarre and dangerous land, they discover that a magical plot of apocalyptic proportions is underway, and Kay is too busy hunting dragons and exchanging blows with his old enemy Lancelot to figure out what to do about it. In perilous times like these, the realm doesn't just need a knight, it needs a true leader. Luckily, Excalibur lies within reach, but who will be fit to wield it? It says, with the cast that includes Merlin, Morgan Le Fay, and the Lady of the Lake, and King Arthur himself, all reimagined in joyous, wickedly submersive fashion, Perilous Times is an Arthurian retelling that looks forward to as much as it looks back. It's apparently supposed to be deadpan funny and surprisingly touching fantasy adventure. The last one for May is Martha Wells' The Witch King. You've heard her name from the Murderbot series, which I kind of want to read, but this is fantasy for her. After being murdered, his consciousness dormant and unaware of the passing of time, while confined in an elaborate water trap, Kai wakes to find a lesser mage attempting to harness Kai's magic to his own advantage. That was never going to go well. But why was Kai imprisoned in the first place? What has changed in the world since his assassination, and why does the rising world coalition appear to be growing in influence? Kai will need to pull his allies close and draw all his pain magic if he is to answer even the least of these questions. He's not going to like the answers. So we don't get much of a description. It's very small, but I think it still sounds fun. We are into June, so final stretch of books. The first one is going to be a historical fantasy with romantic subplots. It's called Mortal Follies, though, by Alexis Hall. It is the year 1814, and life for a young lady of good breeding has many difficulties. There are balls to attend, fashions to follow, marriages to consider, and of course, the tiny complication of existing in a world swarming with fairy spirits, interfering deities, and actual straight-up sorcerers. Miss Melise Mitchellmore finds her entry into high society hindered by an irritating curse. It begins innocuously enough, with her dress slowly unmaking itself over the course of an evening at a high-profile ball, a scandal she narrowly manages to escape. However, as the curse progresses to a more fatal proportions, Miss Mitchellmore must seek out aid, even if that means mixing with undesirable company. And there are a few less desirable than Lady Georgina Landrake, a brooding, alluring young woman sardonically nicknamed the Duke of Arundel, who may or may not have murdered her own father and brothers to inherit their fortune. If one is to believe the gossip, she might be some kind of malign enchantress. Then again, a malign enchantress might be exactly what Miss Mitchellmore needs. With the Duke's help, Miss Mitchellmore delves into a world of angry gods, vindictive magic, keen to unmask the perpetrator of these otherworldly attacks. But Miss Mitchellmore's reputation is not the only thing at risk in spending time with her new ally. For the reputed witch has her own secrets that may prove dangerous to Miss Mitchellmore's heart, not to mention her life. And that comes out on June 6th. The cover is adorable. And then on June 13th, the sequel to Juno Dawson's book from last year is The Shadow Cabinet. I'm looking forward to it a little bit. The end of this book completely made me not like a lot of things. But in the next book, we are going to have this other person as one of our main characters now. In this one, though, it follows 4 childhood friends who are witches, because, okay, witches are a thing, and in Britain, they have worked with the government since Queen Victoria's time to form Her Majesty's Royal Coven. So all the witches in there generally will be recruited or tested to be part of Her Majesty's Royal Coven for some point in time. It's just the coven of the whole land, pretty much. And these 4 childhood friends have, been together, part of the coven, their whole lives, and now they're in their 30s-ish, though, and there has been separation that happened between them. One of them is leading the coven. One of them has split to start her own coven to speak to more witches and other members that Her Majesty's Royal Coven did not accept as much, or a truth part of it, of the heritage of some peoples that they kind of downplayed. And another one just wants to have a normal life. Her family, she has children, and her husband, they don't know that she was ever a witch. They do not. But her daughter is starting to show signs of powers, and so she's having to deal with that. And 2 of them will live in the same small town, and one of them has become a veterinarian. And she only ever uses her powers really to help animals slightly. She doesn't use them much. She's mostly just a veterinarian. But those 2 live in the same town, and yes. But there's been a horrible prophecy that has been made here recently that is predicting the end of the world. And so they must come together to face this. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that could have gone better. The end of this book. That's all I'm going to say. But the next one's coming out. It still follows most of the characters from the first one, except one is now, one's a different character. One is going to be a main character, and Fallout. I don't know. I'm going to read it. I'm probably not giving a great description, but how do you give a good description for the second book? I didn't give a good description for this one either, probably. Okay. The next one, also coming out on the 13th, is Psyche and Eros by Luna McNamara. Says, who said true love is a myth? A prophecy claims that Psyche, princess of Mycenae, yeah, it's a Greek name, will defeat a monster feared even by the gods. Rebelling against her society's expectations for women, Psyche spends her youth mastering blade and bow, preparing to meet her destiny. When Psyche angers the love goddess Aphrodite, who sends Eros, god of desire, to deliver a cruel curse. After eons watching humanity twist his gifts, the last thing Eros wants is to become involved in the chaos of the mortal world. But when he pricks himself with the arrow intended for Psyche, Eros finds himself doomed to yearn for a woman who will be torn from him the moment their eyes meet. Thrown together by fate, headstrong Psyche and world-weary Eros will face challenges greater than they could have ever imagined. And as the Trojan War begins and divine powers try to keep them apart, the pair must determine if the curse could become something more before it's too late. I'm not sure about this one. I kind of want to, but at the same time, it might have to be one that I'm in a mood for something like that to be able to read it, or I would just be like, nah. We will find out. This next one is a historical fantasy. It's definitely going to be one that I need to find the right mood to read it, because I have the art for it, so I really need to. But it is a circus book as well. Well, it's not a circus book, but it takes place with circus peoples, and I've never been drawn to those books, really. I never Carvel, nothing like that, but okay. It's The First Bright Thing, though, by J.R. Dawson. Ringmaster Wren, to those who know her best, can jump to different moments in time as easily as her wife Odette soars from bar to bar on the trapeze. And the circus they lead is a rare home and safe haven for magical misfits and outcasts known as Sparks. With the world reeling from World War I, Wren and her troupe, the Circus of Fantasticals, travel the Midwest, offering a single night of enchantment and respite to all who step into their big top. But threats come at Wren from all sides. The future holds an impending war that Sparks can see barreling toward their show and everyone in it. And Wren's past creeps closer every day, a malevolent shadow she can't fully escape. It takes the form of another circus, with tents as black as midnight, and the ringmaster who rules over his troop with a dangerous power. Ren's circus has something he wants, and he won't stop until it's his. So it's got magic. So there's so much cool sound about it. It could be, but I'll have to read it and find out. I'm just worried. Also, I am worried because, like I said, I've never been drawn to the circusy books. But maybe I'm missing out. Maybe I would love it, and we'll find out. And our last ones come out on June 27th. The first one is a sci-fi called The Archive Undying by Emma Miko Candon. When an AI dies, its city dies with it. When a city falls, it leaves a corpse behind. When that corpse runs off, only devotion can bring it back. Okay? When the robotic god of Konmao went mad, it destroyed everything it touched. It killed its priests, its city, and its wondrous works. But in its final death throes, the god brought one thing back to life. Its favorite child, Sani. Sani? For the 17 years since, Sani has walked the land like a ghost, unable to die, unable to age, and unable to forget the horrors he's seen. He's run as far as he can from the wreckage of his faith, drowning himself in drink, drugs, and men. But when Sani wakes up in the bed of the one man he never should have slept with, he finds himself on a path straight back to the world of gods and machines. The Archive Undying is the first volume of Emma Miko Condon's Downworld Sequence, a sci-fi series where AI deities and the brutal police states clash, wielding giant robots steered by pilot priests with corrupted bodies. Come get in the robot. Okay, see? That one sounds interesting. And the last one is going to be a fantasy, and it is Gods of the Weirdwood by R.J. Barker. This one, I do believe that the first description I read about it on a different site was slightly different than the one on the Barnes & Noble site. Like, the Barnes & Noble's is very short, and the Amazon one was short. But ours is a land of many gods, and we are a people with the ability to pick the worst of them. Khan Do Nahar is known as the Forester, a man who can navigate the dangerous deep frost like no one else. But once he was more. Once he belonged to the god of fire. Undine serves the goddess of the lost, a goddess of small things. When she ventures into the deep forest to find a lost child, Khan will be her guide. But in a land where territory is won and lost for uncaring gods, where temples of warrior monks pit one prophet against another, Khan will need to choose the forest or the fire, and his choice will have consequences for the entire world. And I believe that the description on the other one says that it is a world that is sunk in winter, like it's an unnatural winter has come to this world, and he used to be like a hero, but there was no longer needed or something. He was like a very prophesized person, and he was supposed to be like a savior person, but what he was supposed to have done never happened. Like the thing that he was going to fulfill this destiny, it never happened, and so now he's older and discarded, and somebody else is supposed to be prophesized to do that. So yes, I believe that's what it said. We have reached the end of this quite long list. At least I feel like it's longer than my other anticipated releases recently. I don't know, maybe, yes, no, I don't know. But I hope you were able to find something new and intriguing that you can't wait to pick up, or a conclusion to a series you've been reading, or if you are someone who only likes to read completed series, now you know the last one's coming out and you can read the whole series now without having to feel bad or wait longer for one that you really wanted. I just hope you were able to find a cool book that you would like to pick up. As this list was only sci-fi fantasy though, maybe you would consider subscribing and coming back to check out my weekly new releases videos where I go over other genre books that are coming out every week as well. I hope you guys are all finding something awesome to read today though, and I'll see y'all next time.